This is the Louie T Network.
In the lab room.
Who else but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 5 in the National Football League. Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road taking on the New Orleans Saints. Big game for these two teams who right now are bringing up the rear in the NFC South. Someone's getting out of the basement after this one. Bucs playing some much better football since including Mike Glennon into this starting lineup. I got a feeling that this one was going to be a lot closer than people thought. Didn't expect the Buccaneers to win, but I did expect them to put up a heck of a fight. Saints aren't playing that much, Saints aren't playing that much confidence. Saints aren't playing with that much confidence. They're not playing like the team that I expected them to be going into the season. The team that you expected them to be this season. Drew Brees, and we've seen this maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Drew Brees was up there in interceptions, probably like 22, 23 interceptions. He can do that sometimes. There's some seasons where Drew Brees not seeing the field correctly, trying to force some throws, trying to make some plays. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When a quarterback is used to having Darren Sproles, when they're used to having that safety valve known as Mighty Mike, and you take them away, you go through withdrawals sometimes. Phillip Rivers did the same thing in San Diego. Struggled. I think the same thing's happening to Drew Brees right now. But all in all, they're at home. I expected them to find a way to win this game, and that they did. Let's talk about this football game. 36-yard Marquise Colston catch helps New Orleans get on the board first with the field goal. It's 3-0 in this game. And that's one of the things you've noticed this year about the Saints. In past years, they get down the field, they get into the red zone, and they're putting up 7. They're not messing around with field goals. They're getting in the end zone, and they're putting pressure on the opposing team's offense to get in the end zone. Hey, keep up, man. Catch up. You're losing. And this year, they're settling for a lot of field goals, an awful lot of field goals. And that will get you beat in this league. They've got to find a way to get back to scoring touchdowns and making it hard on the opposing team to keep up with them. And they've got enough weapons. They've got enough guys out there that can make plays for them to find ways to get into the end zone. They're just not. And so, 3-0 in this game early on. Jimmy Graham injured late first quarter, but he comes back in the game, but that would be short-lived. He would end up leaving this game midway through the second quarter, not returning in this game. That was a huge blow dealt to this Saints offense. We know how big of a part of this offense Jimmy Graham is. Jimmy Graham, he's a man, and they were missing him in this game. And so they had to move on without him, and the Buccaneers were able to take advantage of the fact that there was no Jimmy Graham in this football game for the majority of this football game. But the Saints moved the football right down the field again, but like they did on that first possession when they scored, they have to settle for a field goal at 6-0. And again, in this league, field goals don't win games. Touchdowns do. You know the mantra. You know the motto. You know how this goes. And so Saints right now have dominated the game statistically, but they only have 6 points to show for their efforts. If you're going to allow a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to hang around, and remember, they're playing with much more confidence. They're coming off of their first win of the season that coincidentally happened to be on the road versus a quality opponent in the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have confidence right now. So if you allow them to hang around in this game, guess what they're going to do? They're going to start to believe that this is their game, that they can win this game, that they can take this from you in your house. So if you're the Saints, you need to start scoring some touchdowns. And so that's the end of the first quarter. Saints up 6-0. Drew Brees with a feathery, soft touch to Josh Hill on a beautiful wheel route up the sideline. Hits Josh Hill right in his hands up the sidelines. Picks up 40 yards and sets up a Pierre Thomas receiving touchdown. And Pierre Thomas, again, I feel like he's one of the most underrated running backs in the entire National Football League. You get the football in his hands, and he always seems to go forward. He always seems to make things happen. He breaks tackles. He does all of the dirty things, all of the little things you need done. Pierre Thomas can do it. And they threw him the football here on this play. He zigs, he zags, he gets in and out of traffic, gets in the end zone. It's 13-0. Much like a couple of weeks ago against Minnesota at home. You're up early, 13-0, but somewhere along the lines, after you get that early lead, the Saints, for some reason or another, seem to take their foot off the gas pedal. They did it against the Minnesota Vikings, ended up not scoring another point until the fourth quarter. It was 13-9 in that game against Minnesota. In this game, it's 13-0. They're dominating, and then all of a sudden, things change. Patrick Robinson gets an interception of Mike Glennon as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were looking to try to get some points. Great diving interception by Patrick Robinson. Changes the field position and gives the Saints back the football. I'm thinking, okay, that's a great play, momentum builder. Let's see if they can't take that football down the field and really drive the hammer home and drive that nail home and take care of business. I mean, if they were to get some points after that interception, this game might have been over. But instead, the Buccaneers defense was able to get a stop. And then Patrick Murray, and this was where the tables in the favor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anytime you can get a 55-yard field goal from your field goal kicker, that is a huge lift for your football team. Patrick Murray with a 55-yard bomb to get the Bucs on the board. Costly mistakes early in this game for Tampa Bay, and I was getting upset. And I'm not even a Buccaneers fan. I just like to see clean, well-played football. And the Buccaneers were doing anything but that early in this game. There were a lot of costly mistakes. ASJ with a face mask penalty after a huge game for the Buccaneers. You got an illegal shift penalty, calling back a huge game by Doug Martin in this game, illegal formations. They had a lot of bad penalties, a lot of pre-snap penalties, a lot of avoid. Look, again, I say this all the time. I don't mind if you make a physical mistake. Physical mistakes happen. That ASJ face mask penalty, hey, your hand starts here. Next thing you know, your hands are up in the face now. Face mask is a totally different animal than hands to the face. I can't get with a face mask penalty, especially when you're not a ball carrier. When you're blocking somebody, there's no need to be grabbing another man's face mask. But a hands to the face penalty, I get those sometimes. You start here, next thing you know, a guy's getting rough with you. They move your hand, next thing you know, your hand's up here in the face. It's a physical mistake. Those happen. Holding penalties, you get beat off the snap and you can't recover. You don't want your quarterback to get pummeled, so you hold the guy. Physical mistakes happen. It's the mental mistakes that drive me nuts. As a coach, if I'm a coach, I can't deal with the mental mistakes. Those are the ones that have to be eliminated because all they take is concentration. And the Buccaneers in this game early on lacked concentration. You got illegal formations. You're not covering up the tight end. You're not covering up the tackles. You got tackles not on the line of scrimmage. Just silly mistakes, and they're calling back some huge gains for the Buccaneers early in this game. ASJ with a couple of drops early in this game. He had butterfingers. The Buccaneers did everything in their power to get blown out of this game early on, and the Saints simply did not want to oblige. They didn't want to run away with this game. They wanted to let the Bucs hang around, and that's what happened. And the Bucs said, hey, if you're going to let us stay for a while and let us loiter, we might as well score some points while we're here. And then the fun really started for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after that 55-yard Patrick Murray bomb. So now it's 13-3. Then Jonathan Banks picks off Drew Brees, and I talked about the struggles of Drew Brees this year. And sometimes he can be a very caring and sharing quarterback. He'll share the football around and allow the other team to have a couple of opportunities. And in this game, he did exactly that. And so Jonathan Banks said, hey, I don't mind if I'll get one. If you don't mind, I don't mind. I'll take one. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And that leads to a hammerhead touchdown right before the half. It's 13-10. Buccaneers right back in this game now. New Orleans Saints were up 13-0 with a chance to really do some serious damage after the Patrick Robinson interception. Yes, it was deep in Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or excuse me, deep in their own territory was that interception, but it didn't matter. You got some momentum. You got the crowd involved. You had a chance to do something, and you didn't take advantage of it. Now the Buccaneers are here to stay. They're not going away now. You had your chances. Now they're going to play some football. For the second consecutive week, now we're at the half. We come out of the halftime break. And for the second consecutive week, the Buccaneers get a touchdown right out of the gates in the second half. And it was a beautifully orchestrated drive. They moved the football right down the field. Bobby Rainey rushes into the end zone from 11 yards out to give the Bucs their first lead of the game at 17-13. And this is a guy that I'm starting to like, man. He's starting to call me Danny Lansana. It's Lansana. 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 Let's go. Y'all got a problem. His name is Lansana. Uh-oh. 33-yard pick six, Drew Brees under duress. And this is something that I want to see from the Buccaneers a little bit more often, getting pressure on the quarterback more consistently. I said, look, Gerald McCoy is a monster down there. He's a load to handle. He needs some help. You paid all this money to Mr. Johnson. Time for him to wake up. You need some of these other defensive linemen to step up and come to the party. And they got some pressure on Drew Brees. As he's going down, he panics, tries to get rid of the football. And I told you, Drew Brees will make some real boneheaded decisions if you force him to. If you give him time, he'll carve you up. You put pressure on him, much like most quarterbacks in this league, pressure bust pipes. You put pressure on Drew Brees, he'll panic. He'll give you some opportunities. Here's one right here, prime example. There is no reason for Drew Brees to throw this football. Eat the sack. Take the sack, live to fight another day. Instead, he tries to make a play. Danny Lansana takes it to the crib, 33 yards. It's 24-13. 24 unanswered Tampa Bay Buccaneer points. Just like that. They're up 11 in this game. They're dominating is what they're doing at this point. If you're the Saints, you got to stop the bleeding, and you got to stop it right now. Not now, like right now. And so Saints finally respond to the Bucs barrage with of those 24 unanswered points with a touchdown to Tavares Cadet out of the backfield from 4 yards out. It's now 24-20. And so that was a huge score for the Saints because they needed to get something on the scoreboard. The Buccaneers were starting to feel really good. They were smelling themselves. This one smells like a W. The Bucs were smelling themselves at this point. You really needed to come in and get into the end zone, cut this lead back down to 4, and get yourself back into the ball game. That was a huge score by the Saints. Junior Gillette blows up a drops a golden opportunity. He blows a golden opportunity to pick off Mike Glennon. I mean, Mike Glennon actually said, here, man, you want this? Hot potato, take it. And Junior Gillette said, man, nah, I don't want the football, man. Thanks, though. I appreciate it, but nah, I'm good. I prefer to sack you later on for a safety, but I don't want an interception. So he said, you sure? Yeah, I'm good, man. I appreciate it, though. It's the thought that counts, man, but I'm all right. So no interception. I mean, you can't get a much easier pick than that. I mean, Mike Glennon literally threw him the ball right between a 9 and a 3 on his jersey and he dropped it. So Saints missed a golden opportunity to make a huge play in this game. And if he catches it cleanly, he probably scores a touchdown. I mean, I don't see how he doesn't get in the end zone. If his blockers do what they're supposed to do on this play, he gets in the end zone untouched, but he dropped the football, so none of that matters. It's now the third quarter ending. We're going to the fourth. It's 24-20, Buccaneers out in front. Mike Glennon, oh my gosh, this was a gorgeous play. Oh my stars. Mike Glennon throws a beautiful fadeaway. MJ fadeaway, perfect throw. And man, you know, Mike Glennon, sometimes he makes some plays and I go, God damn, boy, that was beautiful. You know, and this was one of those plays that I saw from him where I'm like, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know that was in your arsenal. So he's being pressured. He's rolling out to his left, which is, again, the opposite side of his throwing shoulder. So he's backing up, and he's falling out of bounds. And I didn't know he was looking down the field to make a play. He's directing traffic, and he's got a Saint defender bearing down on him as he's backing out of bounds, and he's pointing Vincent Jackson, V-Jax, hey, go up the field. And as he's backing out of bounds, he just flicks it on some old Brett Favre type, hey, ha. And the ball was just so feathery soft, drugstore cotton soft. I mean, oil of L.A.B, Dove soap on your skin soft. Right to V-Jax in stride over the middle of the field. It was pretty. Right in his hands. I said, man, long neck. Damn, you get my stamp of approval on that one. That was beautiful. And that sets up and that was for 27 yards. It was gorgeous. Woo! And that sets up Robert Heron for his first NFL touchdown in the back of the end zone. It's 31-20. At this point, I'm thinking, hey, the Buccaneers want this one, man. They want this one. I think the Saints may have made a mistake here. They let the Tampa Bay Buccaneers loiter in the Superdome. They let them loiter and hang around. The Saints said, hey, man, we up 13. What y'all doing? Y'all need to get out of here. They said, no, man, we just hanging around. We just chilling, man. We good. You sure? He's like, yeah, man, we gonna hang around for a little while, man. Y'all go ahead and do y'all thing, whatever y'all gonna do, man. We'll just chill out right here. And when we ready to turn it up, we'll turn it up. All right, man, we'll catch y'all later. So they let them hang around, had them down 13-0. Now they smell a W, I swear. They can see it. The finish line is right there. They can see it. They just got to get there. It's a full-out sprint. Can they get there? Do they have enough in the tank to get there? Gorgeous 27-yard rushing TD by Pierre Thomas. I talked about Pierre Thomas. I love this guy, man. Again, every year I feel like he's one of the most underrated backs. When we start naming backs that are all-purpose backs, that do everything, that pass pro, that can catch it out of the backfield, that can run the football. 3rd and 3, if you're asking me who I want to throw the football to, who I want to hand the football to, and I know that I'm going to have a couple of tackles broken, and I'm going to have everything that I need to have done on that play done and done correctly, I'm going to tell you, man, Pierre Thomas isn't going to be too far off the tip of my tongue when I start running off backs to get it done for me. This guy is a multi-faceted, multi-purpose threat for this football team. Showed it again on this play. Already having a receiving touchdown, now he's taking off on the ground for a big gain and getting into the end zone. It's 31-26. The Saints go for 2 and try to get cute. Doesn't work, and they're not able to get the 2-point conversion. So now it's 31-26. After a fumbled snap by Mike Glennon, and you saw this was disaster written on, and then the Bucs started this self-destruct, a whole bunch of penalties. At one point on this possession, it was 2nd and 29. Ouch. And so they're going in the opposite direction. They're at their own 1-yard line, and this was inexcusable. If you're the Buccaneers, you need a safe play. There's no way you're picking up 30 yards on 3rd and 9. How about you either run a draw, a screen, or you just hand it off to your back and try to get some space for your running back or your punter to punt the football. Instead, they try to get cute. Mike Glennon is in the end zone like a statue standing up, and Junior Gillette comes free, sacks him in the end zone, gets the safety, put him up. It is now 28-31, Saints down. That 2-point conversion that they missed, they just got those points back on this possession. So that was a huge play because they needed those 2 points in order to get this game where they needed it to be to go to overtime. So in effect, the Bucs sabotaged themselves by giving up this safety because without this safety, they probably win this game. They probably win this game. But now it's 31-28, and now they get a free kick. Following the free kick, Pierre Thomas with another great game on a swing pass, and then Cadet does the same exact thing on the opposite side of the field. So then that sets up a 44-yard Shane Graham field goal. Now we're knotted up at 31, and again, I don't know if any of those things happen because they got great field position, first of all, from the free kick. And then, a couple of first downs, and next thing you know, you're in field goal range. So without the safety, you don't get the free kick. Without the free kick, you don't get the great field position. Without the great field position, you probably don't get the field goal. So a lot of things transpiring because of the Buccaneers' inability to protect Mike Glennon, first of all, and for their play caller to call a play that was going to be successful in that position. That was just a bad turn of events for the Buccaneers. Alteron Verner picks off Drew Brees for the 3rd time as the Saints were looking to maybe get a field goal late in this game and win in regulation. Alteron Verner says, I dropped one earlier. He dropped one on about one of the first possessions of the game. He dropped one. He said, I got this one, and we're going to overtime. And in the overtime session, Saints win the toss. And a lot of times, if you've got a good enough offense, you're playing with enough confidence, and especially if you're at home, you win that toss. We saw it a couple of weeks ago with Seattle and Denver. Seahawks won the toss. Denver Broncos never saw the football in that game as they scored a touchdown and won the game. Same thing here. Saints win the toss. They're at home. They got the momentum. They're able to string together a couple of first downs. And on 3rd and 9, this was a huge catch by Ben Watson to keep the drive alive. And then Kyrie Robinson, he starts going off. They hand him the football 4 consecutive times, the last of which he finds a seam, breaks through it, runs over a Bucs defender or 2, gets into the end zone, high steps his way in as the New Orleans Saints avoid disaster at home versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 31-37. Buccaneers, valiant effort. Had this game on numerous occasions. They were up 11 twice in this game. Once at 24-13, another time at 31-20. You'd like to think that if you score 31 points, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, your defense is supposed to be able to win you the football game. They weren't able to do it as they come up short. But look, the defense did their job in this game on a number of occasions, getting an interception, taking it to the crib. So you feel bad for the Buccaneers because they played well enough to win, but as the old saying goes, almost doesn't count. And so they came close, but no cigar. Saints get it done. I'm worried about this Saints football team as they're going into their bye week. They got some things to clean up. They're still giving up way too many points on the defensive side of football. Drew Brees is turning the football over. There's a lot of questions, not enough answers in New Orleans right now. But, hey, you'll take it with a W, and you'll go back to the drawing board and try to fix it. And you'll try to fix it while winning. And so that's always the best way to do it if you're the New Orleans Saints. They go to 2-3 on the season. This was a huge win. Can't afford to lose this game at home because, again, you haven't played this Buccaneers team in Tampa yet. Don't want to start off your divisional play with a loss to this Buccaneers team. You already lost to the Falcons in Atlanta. You don't want to lose at home to this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team in the division. So big win for the Saints. Tough loss. But I think another break was laid in the foundation of Mike Glennon becoming the starter full-time in Tampa Bay. Another gritty, gutty performance by Mike Glennon. I thought he played well enough for this team to win. I don't see how Lovie Smith doesn't give this man the keys to the Buccaneers car and tell him, hey, you're in control now. Drive the car smartly, young fella. So that's going to do it for this one. Bucs now fall to 1-4 on the season. I still think that this is a team that can turn it around this season. If they could get some kind of continuity going, but this defense can start playing better football, if they can get pressure on the quarterback, and they can stop making a lot of these silly mistakes. There were too many penalties, too many mistakes in this game by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for them to win on the road. They can clean up some of those mistakes and those penalties. I think this is a dangerous team that could do some things in the second half of the season. So that's going to do it for this review of Bucs Saints. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all in the lab room. I'll check you out a little bit later on down the line in the week as we do the Pick'em Weekly, and look out for the brand new NFL Power Grid, which is essentially the NFL Power Rankings here in the lab. Later. Have a good one. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.